If you believe in the power of women and young people and African genius, if you believe in Afrofuturism and glorious African past, if you believe in community archiving and preserving your own history and moving it to the future. My name is Somi Kakoma. I am an artist. I'm also the founding artistic director of Salon Africana. The mission of Salon Africana, first of all, it's a boutique cultural agency and record label. We are interested in celebrating contemporary African voices, working in the arts across disciplines, primarily music, but also literature, theater, dance, and the visual arts. Also curating experiences that challenge homogenized ideas of African cultural production today. The Fabric of Courage is a multidisciplinary salon-style exhibition here in Lagos Island, Nigeria. It is meant to celebrate the archive of FESTAC 1977, which is also known as the second world edition of Black and African Arts Festival that happened here in Nigeria.
The message I'm trying to give to my audience is not one. I am just trying to make them understand me as a person and understand my country and my people.
I journeyed into the archive of FESTAC because of my interest really around the great Miriam Makeba. I was tracing her life and legacy around the continent. I realized that she was often the only woman who was named in this long list of celebrated artists who gathered here, dignitaries who gathered here. And so I became more interested in the FESTAC archive really as a way of acknowledging and calling the names of other women who were, of course, also here. And the more I researched FESTAC, the more I realized there was so much that I didn't know. It was so vast and so deep. I invited the great Marilyn Nance, an American photographer who released a book called Last Day in Lagos that was edited by a Nigerian by the name of Remi Onabanjo, also in New York. It came out in 2022, and she was the official photographer of FESTAC in 1977 of the American delegation. So she recently returned specifically for the opening of this exhibition. It was her first time back in the country since 1977, which was super exciting for all of us. Of course, she was very thrilled to be back in Lagos. It was important to me that it still reflects what FESTAC actually was, which was a Pan-African, international, hyper-local event. I believe that FESTAC actually, because there were 15,000 Black artists from around the world, and because the intention of the very first one, which happened in Senegal, and the second one that happened here, was to lift up Black voices in the arts from all over the planet. And so I feel as though to evoke Pan-Africanist space is to invite the community, to invite people to travel from near and far. And I hope that people feel that sense of Pan-Africanism when they come through this exhibition. I also hope that they feel the ways in which the different disciplines can be in conversation with each other, whether you're talking about photography, or you're talking about film, or you're talking about sound, or you're talking about music. Opening night, I performed, as well as a beautiful Nigerian actor who read some poetry by Audre Lorde, who also attended the festival in 1977.
Poetry is not a luxury. It is a vital necessity of our existence. The furthest external horizons of our hopes and dreams are cobbled by poems, carved out of the rock experiences of our daily lives.
So I hope that it also not only inspires different kinds of conversations about the meaning, the kind of echoes of FESTAC, the ways in which it continues to reverberate in the public imaginary here in Nigeria, in the global cultural imaginary, and also within ourselves. People have very specific personal and public relationships with FESTAC, memories of FESTAC. So I hope that it not only does that, but invites us to think about the myriad of ways that we can witness each other through different disciplines.
I was 0 years old when FESTAC happened, but for the first 21 years of my life, I heard about FESTAC. So it's very personal to me. So it's not just about the government. It's also me coming on board to say, listen, we're ready to do this. And if the doors are refusing to open, we'll shut them down. Simple.
I think it's good for us. It's a sort of recall, because we did FESTAC and we never really milked the harvest from FESTAC. Other countries have been doing it. If you go to Burkina Faso, they do FESPACO. You go to Massa in Abidjan. Ghana has a Panafest. But Nigeria does not really have any particular program that has to do with the memory of FESTAC. So this is good. It's good that Somi is bringing this up, and I'm really very happy. And the way she has done it, bringing music into it, just like taking every bit of FESTAC and bringing everything together. It's good.
I chose this building, the old printing press, to activate and to create this experience here because I'm interested in activating historic sites of cultural production across the continent. This is the first of that effort and that attempt to do that. This is the first printing press in Nigeria, established during colonialism. Like right now, because it has all the beautiful pictures up and the plants, it looks like a different space, but the reality is it's normally in grave disrepair. When you activate these spaces that are otherwise been dormant, derelict, and in some ways forgotten, I think that it not only remedies that cultural violence, but it also a reminder that we can take up space, we can reclaim space. This is a small attempt to bring that cultural body, whether it's of FESTAC or of ourselves as African people, back to center, to stand and remember and witness past and future narratives. One of the challenges that I've experienced is not always having the spaces available that can really support the productions that perhaps I'm trying to do, right? Or the performance spaces, or just that touring network, or whatever it is, right? These sort of cultural spaces. So selfishly, I think this is also a way of saying we don't have to wait for those things to be built. I'm hoping that creates a conversation with the local creative economies, with the local arts communities, to be like, well, we don't actually have to wait for that actual building. We can just stand where we are with what we have and make a thing. There's a whole conversation happening right now around the African Renaissance, and there's all this art and culture happening on the continent, but we've always had that happening on the continent. So for me, it's like the fabric of courage is the thing that we can stand on, that we can stitch together. This is a small effort in a large agenda and vision, so that we might have the courage, use that information, that stitch, that fabric to lift us up in our own individual journeys and collective journeys. a heavy, heavy lift. But the reward is fantastic, right? The reward meaning when I see not just, the arts community and the arts crowd, when I see a police officer walking in here or a young woman carrying her load from the market, feels like this is also space for her, that gives me real joy because I want that kind of access. I mean, this space is for everyone, right? It's a federal building. And so by opening it in this way, I really hope it continues to democratize cultural space. So the future of the exhibition, there are conversations around the possibility of touring it in Nigeria. It would be amazing for it to kind of sit down in major cities across the country or even smaller cities. I would love for it to go to Kaduna, for example, which is the other city where FESTAC happened. I'm grateful. The artists themselves, from Marilyn, Nance to Tam Fiofori to Najite Dede, who performed on opening night, to my band who flew over from New York and Los Angeles to participate in the opening, and to the whole team, the local team here in Nigeria who helped me pull this off.
Oh, your mama, your mama, your mama. Oh, your mama, your mama, your mama. Yase
Everyone here is making history at this moment. Everyone here has an archive. Everyone here has a legacy. And so it's up to us to take care of the archive, which means keep it safe. And once we have the safety of the archive, then it's about making it accessible. How do we share what we have with the rest of the world? I knew that I had a treasure, and I'm not the only one with a treasure. You have a treasure. Everybody's got nuggets. It's up to us to do what we can to do that work. Nobody's coming to save us. We have to do it for ourselves.
Having her be present physically, be able to see and meet Nigerians who appreciate her book, who appreciate the work she's done, who appreciate her investment in archive, who appreciate the fact that she came back, and just let her be celebrated in that way. My whole journey as an artist has been so deeply invested in ideas of place and cultural memory, and this is exactly that. This is the first of what I hope will be many activations across the continent in historic sites of cultural production that remind us to remember, to reconstitute, to gather, and to honor all those who came before us.